Likewise.
And we're recording.
We are now.
That's does your thing say that we're live?
It says
It says
meeting is
meeting.
being
Yes,
recorded and live streamed.
Okay.
yes.
Hi everybody. This is
Hey.
Zoph and Tarek, and you're watching Simply SCAdian No Title Required. I'm gonna hand it over to Lucas and I'm gonna close my screen out so I can talk to Tarek.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Well, welcome to another Simply Scadian, no title required. We're so happy to have you with us today. If you are new to us, if you need me to repeat the rules, here are the rules, everybody. Um, as we love to, bi-monthly, we bring you people from around the known world who have not attained peerage yet or attained a level royalty or whatnot. No titles required here other than your AOA. That is all you need to enter here. In fact, I don't even think you need that. We just need somebody who's playing in the SCA. Um, what we try to do is to bring you people from around the known world who are very knowledgeable in all types of subject areas. Again, if you've joined us over the 5 years, 4.5 years at this point, we have had people from all over the known world with many skills: fighters, fencers, ANS, Bardic, people just with the most interesting scholarship and whatnot, and we've been very honored to have those people. Today is no exception to that honor. I'm happy because most times, my Laurel Zove brings in people who she knows, and she knows lots of people, and I am still fairly new, and I don't know a lot of people. I know this one, so I'm super happy today. This is going to be a treat. Today, good wife Abigail Whitslow. Abigail is from the Kingdom of Atlantia and has been a member of the SCA for over 30 years. But by her admission, albeit not a very active one, get that because that's kind of me too. Married to Rory Aku. She is referred to herself as the Bard Widow, as her husband is usually busy performing in bardic circles. Abigail, however, prefers to perform on stage. That's where I know her from, so hopefully we're going to talk a lot about that. And has been seen in KWP, that's Known World Players. Come and check them out every year at Penzig. Productions of Hector of Troy, The Weird Sisters, and Everyman. Abigail, welcome to the show.
God you good den, fair gentles. And that's enough of that nonsense. Hi everybody. Hello to the throngs of people watching this.
Uh, all right. So how did you find the SCA?
Well, the short answer is very well. But the longer answer is I did not know the SCA. My husband is the hardcore member. He's the one with all the titles. The Good Wife title is self proclaimed, it's not official. I have nothing, no AOA or anything, and I'm fine with that. So, for all of you who are the same, hello and great to see you. But I got into the SCA back when we lived in the East. We lived in outside of Philadelphia, and Rory was busy doing stuff, and the kids were younger, and he wanted me to come with the kids. And at the time, that was not a lot of fun for me because it was babysitting around a whole bunch of people I didn't know, and he ran off doing things. So I was not active with the SCA for a very long time, even though I was a member. And I guess about maybe 10 years ago, the kids are old enough that I don't have to deal with them. And we went to Penzic, and I did something that was the smartest thing I'd ever done, which was ignore my husband and do my own thing. So, and the way, we were talking, Lucas and I were talking about this before we went live. The way Rory knew about the SCA is because we met doing the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair in 1987. I'm going to age myself horribly. Um, and he was thrilled because he could live the life of somebody in the Renaissance. I was thrilled because somebody was paying me. So we came from two very different vantage points. And but now that I found my own place, if you will, in the SCA. I'm really enjoying it. It's a little tricky because I can do bardic stuff. I don't really like it as much. So I'm trying to find my niche with the more traditional theater.
So in your, I'm going to just kind of continue that in your own corner of the known world then, because I know at Penzig you do theater and we'll talk about that. How are you translating then that theater into like a typical event or whatnot? Again, as a person who kind of came in at the almost the exact same way, theater first, and love of the SCA second. Um, I don't see a lot of opportunity for it, was why I do a lot of bark. So
It's
how are you kind of navigating that?
um first of all, one thing I do this. I don't do many events. Now that Rory is retired, he's like every week he's practically I'm going to this event, I'm going to that. I'm like, oh, bye. I don't go to too many because the focus is not really on the bardic is often, even when you're doing a bardic circle, there's so much other noise around you. And that's not how my kind of performance works. So I try to go to those events that are specifically geared for performance, that I don't have to fight with the royalty doing something or the fighters doing something or the ANS. Two things I've gone to is the Bardic Madness. They didn't have it this year, but I went last year, which was a lot of fun. And Ishmael Reed had written a short play, and I played a role in that. Um, and my husband dragged me up to sing something, but that was at the last minute. The other thing is in Atlantia, and I don't know if other kingdoms do it, they have a performers' revels annually, where it's during the day so you can see one another. It's very hard when you have bardics at night to do things because you can't really see people. Um, and I'm going to talk about my pet peeve too. I'm going to bring that into it. It's a big one too. But being that we can see one another because they do bardic circles all day long at the performers' revels. But what I love about it is they have everything. It's not song, story, song, story. At the performers' revels, they also have dancing, which I thought was really neat. Or they'll just have a couple of instrumentalists start jamming on a piece. So last year at the performers' revels, I read my husband's poetry. That's what he's laureled in, and people don't really realize that. So he never reads it because he's not a very good sight reader. He doesn't read well. So I said, well, dude, people need to hear your poetry. I'm reading it. This year I did two monologues. And which brings to my pet peeve is one of the monologues I was secure with. The other one I was a little nervous with. So I brought a piece of paper. I actually didn't need it, but I put it down on the floor in case I needed to refer to it. But my pet peeve, and this goes for bardic circles, sorry performers, I'm going to say this, don't use your phone. You need to read off something, that's fine. Get a binder, even if it's just a black binder, and have it written out. Have a little light near you if you need to. I don't care. The phone to me takes me out of it. And I find more people that are looking at a phone are just so glued to that phone and don't connect.
Mhm.
So I really rambled on about that.
You didn't ramble. No, I understand for accessibility reasons there may be people who do need to use their phone, but I it does harsh my mellow. Not
But
gonna lie.
if you do have accessibility issues, and I'm cool with that, then preface it. I'd much rather hear somebody say, "Hey, for this condition, I need to use the phone." Absolutely.
I have also seen people who've gotten around it by turning their phone or their tablet into something that reads as more period.
Okay,
I also don't have a problem with that either. There's a gentleman who I met at Penzig, who kept asking him why he was looking in his book, and it wasn't a book. He had gotten one of these leather bound journals off of, he said, Amazon, and glued all of the pages together, and then cut out the section for his phone and a section at the back for the camera, and he could close it over and wrap the leather around it. But he kept checking his messages in his book and going back to it, and I was like, well, that's bloody clever, because like it didn't, I mean, he was to the nines dressed, and I guess that was like he didn't want to kill his vibe either by having that. So
Right.
again, I think
But
that's a
also,
very
I
appropriate thing
think
to.
I think it depends on what you're doing. Um, oh, I'm going to start going on a whole bunch of pet peeves. Can I do that?
Yes, absolutely.
This is your hour. This is not ours.
And that'll
Um,
stir conversation. So go ahead.
Yeah.
so, and I'm totally fine with that if they, as long as they're not glued to it. And that goes with reading too. Um, I mean, reading on a piece of paper. The other thing, because I was thinking about, it's nice to have it memorized or doing it off the cuff. So here are two other pet peeves I have. Who knew that this whole thing was going to be Abigail's pet peeves? Um, the other thing is the length of pieces. Sometimes they just go on and on and on. I've literally sat at a Bardic Circle. I think I left after the second one, where somebody did a lengthy Tamlin, which is a lengthy piece. And then somebody said, oh, I know a variation on that, and did theirs. When the third person, I said, put a fork in me, I'm done. I'm not listening to another one. So I think there is just mindfulness of the length. And if you're going to do a lengthy one, really know what you're talking about and connect with it. Because
I
it's,
almost feel like in here, and again, this is something I can ask you because I know your husband's background as far as this is concerned, but have you ever taught classes, or have you ever thought about kind of turning that pet peeve right there, the length, appropriateness, things like that, that all feels like a class to me. That feels like somebody novice would want to go and take that class of like, well, let's talk about what a good length is. Are you connecting with your audience? What are you doing? Have you ever thought about turning that? Have you taught classes previously, or?
I have not. My husband has.
Yeah,
He
well, yeah.
does too. And if you've listened to his, you'll notice if he's does a lengthy one, it's usually audience involvement.
Right.
If he's telling a story, he usually tells them pretty quick and moves on. Um, and that I feel the same way. Oh, there was another pet peeve, and now I can't even remember what it was. Well, obviously, it wasn't that important.
So I know that there is a active Commedia troupe in your kingdom near you. Have you ever thought about playing with them?
I laugh because when I did the Renaissance Fair many, many years ago, I was one of the key commedia players, both in scripted and improv. I played the Harridan role, so basically the female Pantalone. Um, and again, I got paid, so that was nice. It's just not my jam,
Okay.
which is weird. In fact, when I got cast in the improv troupe, I turned to the brilliant man Brian Belge who was running it before I went in, and everybody wanted to be in the troupe. I got in and I went to him and said, I don't think I can do this. And he said, no, you can, I'll teach you how. And he was great, he did.
So then,
But
how did you? I was gonna say, how did you find KWP then? You know what I
how
mean?
did
Like,
I
yeah,
here's the,
how did you come to kind of find that at Penzig and gravitate towards that? Were they
uh,
doing something like a
this one,
Shakespeare that you're?
it was the funny thing was it was the year that I said, forget it, I'm ignoring Rory. And I did, and so if I don't know if you were there, Orlando was having a reading of his was is it Belle of the Battlefield?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful play. Were you there and I didn't realize?
And I'm gonna say that's something until you brought that up. Not a clue, but then I was like, oh yes, we were both there. I
Oh,
was like, I read in that play, yeah.
oh, that's so funny because I didn't
Yeah.
know anybody. So I'm just going, I'm going to do, and I had a blast. And then
That's all right. Soph doesn't remember that we did a play together before we did a play together. So, it's fine.
well, I'm going to tell you a funny story. I was at a wedding, and I direct a lot in a community theater. This because I joke that Rory's classical, I'm contemporary because I do all contemporary stuff, mundanely. And I was at a wedding of a mutual friend, and there were people at my table, and two of them, one's a sound designer, one's an actor who I'd worked with, and I said, "Hey, Matt, do you know Meg?" And I'm introducing them, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. They said, "Yes, we did a play together. You directed it." I went, "Oh shit, oopie." So yeah, they do start to blend together, but that reading made me aware of KWP, and then I saw that auditions were for Hector, and I thought, let me give it a shot.
And the rest
So,
I'm
is
glad because
history.
and I don't know if you know this, Zoph, but I am now working on 12th Night.
Oh, good. Good for
I am,
you.
I'm
12th Night
AD.
is the known role players show this year at Penzic.
Oh, thank you for filling that in for our throngs of watchers. Um, so the director had contacted me. His assistant director is unable to go to Penzic and asked if I want to do it. And I said, if you're willing to work around my crazy schedule, sure.
that's great.
So,
That's awesome.
so that'll keep me busy. Yeah, I'm not you guys early morning risers. I'm not. If I get out of
I
bed before 9, that is early.
I am not, and Hector was well. I mean, all right. So I did Henry V, and that was the one, right? So, and and I worked around their schedule. It was very like, wow, this is me up at 6:30 in the morning and getting up the hill by 8 and whatnot. And then I had done Merchant of Venice, but I was a replacement for an actor that suddenly couldn't come. And I was like, here's the deal. I can't get up there before a certain amount of time. And they were cool with it and whatnot. And then did Merry Wives of Windsor. And that my wife and I did together, so it was a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like we both could kind of hold each other up on the time frame, whatnot, and that's what landed me Hector. And I think it was because Hector was so nice because I think because it was a shorter piece, we actually truncated the hour. That first hour, we didn't do 8, we did 9, I think. Um, but yeah, I'm not an early riser myself. I mean, I'm not an early riser at Penzic. In my real world life,
Right,
yeah,
but that's
you know what I mean? But Bog Life is late or early, depending on
well,
your expectations.
I do not camp at Penzic. That was the caveat for Rory getting me back. I said, nope, we're offsite. So that
Hmm.
means we're half an hour, well, about a half an hour away. So it's a challenge, but I can
I
do it.
worked around it.
Yes, you did. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
So, do
So
you
it's
have any other interests in the SCA besides theater?
I do well. Mainly it's the socializing. I've gotten to know more people. Um, I we camp. We've been camping the last 2 years with Oldcastle, and the thing that's going to be interesting this year is Gracie passed away unfortunately,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and she was the one really running it. So now the rest of the camp is rallying to keep everything going, including my husband. Um, but other interests, well, it's sort of strange. I don't really do. There's not a lot of. I know a lot of people work different projects, and I started doing something during the pandemic. I noticed at an event that somebody had a messenger bag type thing made of leather, and I looked at that and I said, I bet I can make that of fabric. I have tons of fabric. And so after doing a number of different types, I have I think 3 for me, 3 for Rory, and then I started making them as gifts. But last Penzic, Corvo who is one of my husband's apprentices. He does gorgeous woodworking, wood furniture. He shares a booth at Penzic, and I made a bag for him, and he was just hanging it up in his shop. And every day he'd come back and go, everybody keeps asking me how much for the bag. Can you make me bags? So I've made about 10, and I'm hoping I can make another 10. So basically, it's to offset the payment for our trip. So, um,
Right.
but yeah. As far as what else I do, most of what I do at Penzic is for SCA is Penzic. That's about it. Every year, I want to go. I'm going to take all these classes, and if I'm lucky, I go to two. So, but that's
What kind of classes interest you?
it varies.
Mm.
Cooking interests me. I went to Pesha's class on Romany because I was curious, and it was
Mm.
really interesting. It was very crowded, the honey class where you do honey tasting,
Oh, wow.
which is really neat, but I tend to do that a lot. Um, just various ones. And some of the performances I'll go to, certain people I love seeing, like F and Walt. Um,
And maybe your husband's show. You might go to that.
I, okay, truth. I go as a dutiful wife. I have seen his shtick for 30 years.
Mm.
So after a while, and sometimes I'll say, "Do I really have to go?" He's like, "Nah." So he's very good about it. But
So let's talk a little bit about KWP then, and
okay,
some of your role. And I'm gonna say honestly, your future with them too. So you direct mundanely, obviously. And now you're going to be assistant directing for a show. Does that mean that do you have are you aspirational to direct there or no?
I'm torn. Um, because one of the things that's a struggle for me is I'm one of those people that if I'm going to do known world players, I'm going to be if I'm not completely off book, I'm 90%. And a lot of people aren't,
Mhm.
which I get it. They're there to have fun. But by the same token, and yes, as a fellow player, if they go up, I'm going to help them out. But the more you have to help somebody out, the more it throws your performance. So as a director, I don't know if I can be so patient and so flexible. And that's the thing that I struggle with. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. When I started the troupe 26 years ago, oh my gosh.
Wow.
Um, as
You
I
were
was trying,
12.
yeah, right. I was trying to get the word out about the troupe, and a lot of community actors said, I can't do that because I'm a real big stickler for my performances, and you're just a little too laid back for me. And this is because we've had actors go on with script in hand, and I've always said I mean, it's what's the word? Guerrilla theater. The known world players is guerrilla theater. Where else in the world are you going to find actors mount a full production of Twelfth Night, for example, with blocking starting Sunday morning and going up Friday night? Like that's just not done anywhere else that I know of. And I'm sure there's other places, but I don't know of them. And
Um,
so it's our vacation. And if I always took the view that I would rather have an actor with a book in hand than risk them going up.
but you see, I agree with you on that. And if I was directing, if they're not off book by say Thursday morning, I'll give them that because you then have one more. They've got to have book in hand.
Right.
But that's how I would be. I would rather book in hand than people just struggling.
Mhm.
But that, so I don't know how that would be taken. Also, some of the shows require a lot. I mean, if I'm doing a show that has fighting, as you know, Lucas, that's not something I'm gonna do that week of. That's to me just too dangerous. So I don't know how I'd work that, or I just would pick a show that didn't have it.
I mean, I could tell you for Hector as both. I wasn't the fight choreographer, but I was fight captain. Um, and that was Sunday 9 o'clock. Very first thing we did was those the two major combats. And then did them every bloody day
Right.
twice. Started rehearsals with it, ended rehearsals with it.
That
Like
makes that would
it
be
was,
how
you know what I
you'd have
mean?
to do it.
Again, I hate to use the word ringer. But since that and when Zove cast me, she knew that that was my background, that it was, that it helps when one half of the fight team is also a ringer at this. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
And if
but I
honest,
but
go
I
ahead.
have to say honestly, we did the exact same thing for Romeo and Juliet. We started minute one, and those performers, those kids, because they're kids, they were great. You know what I mean? It was also a ringer kind of situation because Romeo learned all of his fights at home and came in knowing them and
See,
was kind of,
I
the
think
one that
I
knew his
think that's
fights.
what I'd be comfortable with if I was directing,
Yeah.
um, is having it. Even if the two people would be working on it, my husband Rory is also a fight choreographer. Um, to have whoever would be the fight choreographer have somebody who they know does the fight with them videotape it, so those
Oh,
seeing it can at least go, okay, let
And
me.
that's what we did for
Oh,
Romeo and
oh,
Juliet. We did videotape
okay,
it and send it to the kids that were fighting.
okay. So it's not completely called. Good.
yeah, no,
Right.
they didn't walk. I mean, again, they had a responsibility, just like you're talking about with lines, to look through it. They had opportunity to reach out and ask questions about it
Okay.
as well. But I mean, again, it's first time with real weapon in hand was those rehearsals,
Yeah.
and yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I got my teeth in known world. Is my first thing was I played the Dauphin. And what they did was the fight choreographer put me out, and like essentially the French are supposed to battle through the line at one point, and he had none of the other French fight, and I fought all the English on my own, so that nobody really had to learn to fight. I just had to have like one or two moves with everybody and whatnot. Those English were really pissed that the new guy was basically beating the crap out of them. That was a bit weird. That like it was my first experience, and some of these people had been involved with KWP before, and people tend to take getting beat up in a stage fight to be like, well, I'm getting beat up and da, 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 you know what I mean? And it was like a weird thing. Like, sorry, I didn't choreograph it, you know.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I again, and as somebody who's only ever directed the one thing for KWP, and I picked something that I felt was manageable because you could tell I directed Everyman, which both Zoph and Abigail were in. But it was enough of these smaller parts that I felt like it was manageable to break it up amongst a whole bunch of people, and everybody was really only learning their one thing. But there were a lot of newbies in that show too. A lot of, who again, some veterans who went up, uh, you know, none of them on this call, mind you,
You
but
know, I literally, as you said that, I'm like, did I go on? No, I didn't go
no, you did not. Neither of you did.
I knew that
You know,
monologue like the back of my hand by the time
oh
I was
yeah,
like,
I could tell you, I don't Hector, which if y'all didn't see Hector of Troy at Penzic, that was my first real big part in the known world, and it was a delight. It is where I met Abigail. It is how I fell in love with Zoph. And and whatnot. I don't I can remember being on stage. I can remember the audience reactions to things and whatnot. I can't remember a bloody thing I did during that show. If it was 39 pages worth of text, I talked on 38 of them. Oh, and and uh, and then even when I was dead, I was on stage in the back, and I was like, well, I can't really do much. I don't remember it, but yeah, the only thing I remember over the course of the show slowly losing my voice.
I remember that. I
Yes.
mainly remember
Hmm.
I had, because I'm me and I prepare, I was pretty much off book. My role was small. So I was ready. Pensick was fun for me. It was vacation. Rory, who had a big role in that, not off book at all.
Nope.
Spent the entire Pensick like this. And he was
So did I.
miserable. And I thought, it's your own damn fault.
I thought I had it before I came up. In fact, I recorded the entire show with people from home playing all of your parts so that I could drive everywhere I went just listening to the show. You
I
know what I
did
mean?
that with I
You
did
know,
that with Weird Sisters.
and then I felt like when I got up there, I didn't know a word of it.
But
And again,
that's
I can
that's the nature of the beast with theater, because we're not doing it in a vacuum. And every person is going who you're playing off of is going to be different. And that's going to
yeah.
throw you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the my three major people that I worked with, you, your husband, and
Bob.
Bob.
Wow.
I almost said John. Bob. You guys just you carried me through the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt. I don't mean like carried the performance, but I
It's
mean
a
like
team effort.
that's what I mean. But like when I came in and it was like, oh my God, they're so solid. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, I don't have to worry about anybody else because they're all together, and I have to come up. I have to come up to them.
And
You know what
by
I mean? Like,
solid with Rory, you mean he can fake it.
Hmm.
yeah,
And
Because
he
he is
faked it
never
really well.
solid. So
Yeah.
I have to tell you a story of Rory. I love him to death. But he will always, he's one of those actors when he does a show, always looks good. But he may be doing it wrong. And if you're not paying close attention, it's going to throw the other person. So we're doing a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. He's playing Pseudolus, I'm playing Domina. Is it okay that I digress off of the SCA for a second?
Yeah.
of course.
Um, and in the Comedy Tonight song, I'm not really, I know the line I'm supposed to come in on. Hey, they have us, even though I'm not singing, all of us come in at a certain time in different places. I hear the line, I come in and realize, why is the blocking off? He switched verses, god damn it. So I'm now on, and I literally did a Homer Simpson. Because I came on too soon. I
Hated.
just backed it up into the bush. And that's how it is working with my husband. So,
Well, dear viewers, if you don't know, her husband also saved my bacon, the Romeo and Juliet year where I got COVID Tuesday of our rehearsal process. And Rory came in to play Friar Lawrence wonderfully, I might add. And the uh um
that was his
Roar,
do nothing Penzic. He said, I'm not
yeah.
doing anything this Penzic. And then Zoe
Just
calls him in.
quick shout out to somebody who wrote in the chat. Rory asks, "Do you really have a problem with me faking it?"
Never, never.
Oh, no, he did it.
Grateful.
And the
I,
reason I
I,
don't have a problem is because he never has a problem with me faking it.
the absolute joy of Romeo and Juliet was the fact that since I wasn't in it, I think that that was divine intervention. Because I got to watch my son.
Mhm.
Where if I had been in it, I
Mm.
would have listened to two-thirds of that from behind a plywood wall, and I would have missed that. And I think just getting to sit out there and kind of bask in his first real thing like that. Now a kid who goes to, I'm going to plug him because it's partially my show. He's at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City.
Nice.
He graduates May 11th from the conservatory, and he landed a role in what they call company. And he will be staying on for another 4 months, or he's not coming to Penzic this year as a result. and he is
Oh,
only doing shows that are produced for talent scouts and agencies to see them and get them discovered. So
wow.
that is what Romeo is doing now. He got out of 80 students, they take 25. He is one of the 25.
Wow.
So yes, I'm super proud of
Nice.
that. But again, Rory really kind of helped me out with that. But then, flash forward to Everyman, and then, your wonderful portrayal of death, which I think was such a cool thing if you didn't see it, you are now present with God
And
and
death.
death. And I think we found a really unique take on death. I don't think any, I mean, I'm sure, again, I always feel like I always hear my director that I worked with when I was young. There's nothing new under the sun. Every time you think you're original with something, somebody's done it somewhere else. But as far as I'm concerned, I've never seen it that way. I've never seen it approached that way. I thought that was a really cool take on it. And I think we found that together. And I thought it was at the end of the day, I was very proud of that show. So,
As you should be. And speaking of which, Rory really loved it, and he's very critical. That
I have to
sounded
put in a
harsh.
plug though, because next year I'm directing Frogs.
Oh, wow. Why did I think it was Lysistrata?
That was one of the ones I had mentioned, but we
Ah,
decided to go with Frogs because the known role players already did Lysistrata. It was like our
ah,
third or fourth
okay.
production, so we're doing Frogs. Um, so we'll see
Well,
how
wait a
that
minute. Can,
goes.
you guys can repeat, though.
We have repeated, yes,
well,
but
Everyman was a repeat.
Right. That's what I
right,
was
and
wondering.
Canterbury Tales was a repeat, and so was Forbidden Pensick. But I decided to do Frogs.
Okay. Makes sense. Well, good, good. I'm glad you plugged it. So, yeah, I feel like I need to say more about the SCA. I will say this. I'm not a peerage person, and when we talk about no title, I've never wanted a title. I never even wanted an AOA. And what's interesting is it was about a year ago at a performers revel. Um, I was called up at court, and I thought, oh no, you bet I am declining any title. It was a gift instead. I was inducted into the Order of the Owl, which is a little baronial thing. But still, it was delightful that it was an acknowledgement of what I had done. But yeah, I know there's a lot of. I think the peerage is a really interesting way to learn and grow, and then share as you become up on the level. Because I know what my husband does as a Laurel is it's not one sided. When he has an apprentice, he says that not only will I teach you, but you will for me as well, and I will do something. So he does various things with his apprentices. He considers it two-sided, but a lot of with the peerages, it's a little too clicky for me. That's
Hmm.
just my take on it. And it's not something I really want. I just want to have fun with it. Um, Having said that, in community theater, the mundane theater, I'm a maniac. Rory couldn't care less, and I'm like, no, I have to do that. So that's more my world. As I submit my proposals and I do this, I'm actually going to be, for those of you, especially in the Baltimore area, I am going to be on stage in a musical for the first time in 10 years,
What are you
which
doing?
I couldn't resist. It's the all-female version of 1776.
Oh my God.
And
Wait,
I
what are the
had to.
dates? What are the dates?
Well,
You
it's
think
a
I'm
long
kidding?
ride for you.
It's my favorite show of all time.
It's one of mine too.
In 2 weeks I'm going to see it at Paper Mill Playhouse here in Jersey.
Okay.
They're doing a pro version of it. It is my favorite. I will drive 4 hours to go watch them. I'm
Oh
not
my
even kidding.
God.
And I know
I
that my wife would come with me too because she was jealous of this all. I was gonna have her pop her head in too because she was, missing you as well. So
Aw, that's sweet.
So when is the show?
yeah, when
It
is the
is.
show?
There are only two performances, unless you want to go unless or an invited dress, which I could do that too. I think it's June 13 and 14, so invited dress is 12. It's in there. I forgot. It's Towson University's Festival of the Arts. I'm playing, and the role I'm Andrew McNair, so it's not a large role, but at my age, I really am happy with that.
The only time I've gotten to do it, I played John Hancock,
Ah, nice.
which is a
I
fun like feature role.
It is. I thought I'd be Hopkins. I'm up at an age where it's like, well, there are a whole lot of roles I'm not going to be right for. Um, Actually, one of my favorite is, I think it's Reverend Witherspoon's line about, I have an aunt who lives in New Brunswick. Um, I always found that hilarious.
Where are you
Um,
going for the drinking and whoring in New Jersey? That's you know what I mean.
yep, there's so many great lines. So many great lines.
Um,
Most of mine are sweet Jesus. Um,
yeah.
so that's kind of unusual for me. I don't usually do that. I have not been performing that much, and I like doing things like known world players or this is a very short run, because I deal with performance anxiety, and it's as I get older, it gets more challenging.
I found that too. So I just got back into doing community theater and I did Murder on the Orient
That's right.
Express. And I was more nervous than I ever remember being. I mean, I was like ultra focused Zoph the whole time I was on stage. I was like exhausted after every show because I was like with, postmenopause brain and everything. I was just like laser sight on everything because I knew if I got distracted even once, and I was so nervous.
Uh huh. Yes, but I'm sure you were brilliant.
Well, I was, of course I was, but
Well, that's one of the things I do like about that. Now, there brings it back to what I love about known world players. Is one of the things I like is I when people ask, because when I say I'm doing a show, a lot of people say, "Oh, so how can I come see you?" And I'm going, "Well, it's going to cost you a lot of money
right.
because this is not seeing a show. It's the people who see it are those who are camping there." Um, but I feel like a lot of the pressure is off because it's not a full. You call it guerrilla theater. I think of it like a workshop,
Mm,
in terms of, not that I'm not totally committed as an actor, but I don't. It doesn't have the same pressure. The audience is understanding. It's a different situation, and that's one of the things I like about this production of 1776. Also, because I thought, holy shit, who's doing all female? That got me very excited. And this one pays a little stipend, so maybe it'll pay for my gas. Um, I've been doing shows where I'm commuting an hour. I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot.
So have you ever thought about on the local level, like instituting a something in the spirit of KWP in your own barony? I mean, is that is something that you kind of toyed with, kind of like taking that model of, well, let's do some of these more, you know, period pieces, but period pieces that are modern written, let's say. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I haven't. Other people have. I find in community theater it's often not done well. I don't. There's one theater group that I'm very active with them, but though I've taken a break, they just finished Coriolanus, and I thought, really, of all the Shakespeare pieces,
right.
that's the one you pick. Um, and I find that a lot of them that I've seen that have done, there are different groups that already do that. They just don't, in my opinion, they don't do it that well.
Mhm.
So I'd rather see a professional. That's just my take on it.
Right. But like, have you ever thought, for example, we have unilateral permission from the author of Canterbury Tales, the play, to do that play and to do scenes from the play. So here's the thing, and we'll make this the big announcement of what's coming to Penzic this year.
Mm.
Lucas and I have put together a traveling theater troupe that will be performing at Penzic. We will be doing short 10, 15-minute, 20-minute plays around Penzic at the busking locations. Because I'm not on staff this year, So we already have permission from a theater troupe out in the West, the Kingdom of the West, to do the Wash Tub, a 14th century farce. And we're thinking of doing a couple of the tales from Canterbury Tales that have been written for stage. We'd love to have you play with us, Abigail, if you're interested. But I have done some of those scenes from Canterbury Tales in my with my local group.
Oh, I see. With that, you're saying it local group in it. That probably would take more involvement in SCA than I am currently, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. However, Ishmael Reed, he's the one who does this.
Oh, right. That's the play I saw, the staged reading that all of you
Yeah,
did.
yeah. And he's very good. He's really good with it. So he's more active in it. He hasn't done anything recently. A lot of times, what he'll do is he'll adapt something, and then he'll put it up. Um, and he's done really good. I don't know what he's doing now. Haven't talked to him in a little bit.
Gotcha. All
But
right, we're
no,
out
I
of
gotta.
time, believe it or not.
I'm sorry.
We're out of time.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been talking for 46 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
been
So the
delightful.
last question, what can the SCA do better?
Um, I think it's not just the SCA, but I think everywhere. Just listen more. I think there's a lot of people who talk and are not listening or asking the questions that they need to. I realize that's a little vague. I'm trying to keep it that way so it's not just performance based. Um, but from what little I know, sometimes things are very rigid and certain rules, and if we listen to what people's responses, we can see where it goes from there.
No,
That's just my take.
no, I agree with you 100%. Part of my anxiety with being a performer bardic wise is that I feel very confident in my ability to do the story, to tell the story, to be an actor. What I lack, I feel sometimes, is the deep dive into whatever the period is or whatnot. So, bad example, but let's say I tell a Robin Hood story, but I just tell it off the cuff. I know it well enough. I've studied enough of that from my writing Renaissance festivals and doing all that kind of thing. And Robin Hood's one of my favorite characters, but I might put my own fluff on it. I've had people stop me afterwards to correct my particular, and I want you to take the whole thing as a performance and not necessarily check my work. You know what I mean? Like we're telling stories here. Like stories evolve, stories change, stories are not always the same. People should listen more. I
Well, I
I
think there are two. I think there are two pieces of this puzzle. Sorry, I know I'm going to keep talking, but you've got the performance aspect and the dramaturge aspect. And there's a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are laureled for that dramaturge, and they are fantastic. They are so knowledgeable, but then when they perform it, it's lacking.
Mhm.
So, what you're telling me, Lucas, is almost the flip of that.
yeah.
And which goes back to Roy writes these beautiful poems, but he's not comfortable performing them. I'm like, I'll take that, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So,
All right. We are out of time. We will be back in 2 weeks with another very special guest from the East Kingdom. And yes, Lucas, what were you going to say?
I was gonna spill the beans on his name, John
Yeah,
Renwick.
go ahead.
Yeah, John Renwick from Setmore Swamp. 22 years in the SCA. So that should be a really fun conversation.
Great. All right. You have been watching Simply Scadian, no title required. Thank you, Abigail.
thank you both. This was fun.
Yes. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Oh, she left.